Okay, let's start with a scene that I think so many people know all too well. It's that daily grind.
The ritual.
The ritual, exactly. If you're an entrepreneur, a local expert, an attorney, you know what we're talking about. It's the rubber chicken circuit.
Oh, yeah. The 7 a.m. BNI meeting.
It's 7:50 a.m. The coffee's lukewarm at best. The pastry is definitely stale. And you're there. You're forced to network, handing out business cards, making that small talk, just hoping something sticks.
It's analog marketing for a world that just isn't analog anymore. And the really harsh reality, and this is something Edwin Duterte of Voxel Micro Video Labs frames so well, is that those cards, they're just paper tombstones.
Wow, paper tombstones.
Just die in a desk drawer.
That's a brutal image, but it's so accurate. It really gets to the core of the problem, right? You could be working 60, 70 hours a week, pouring all this energy into cold calls, these networking events.
All the stuff you're supposed to do.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But where your actual client is looking for you, you're just not there. You're invisible. You are, to use his term, a digital ghost.
And that feeling,
Yeah.
that digital invisibility, despite all this massive analog effort, that's really the center of our deep dive today. We're not trying to figure out how to make the BNI meeting better.
Yeah.
We're looking at how to solve the invisibility itself by talking to the new gatekeepers. Because the game, it has completely changed.
And I think we really need to pause on the size of that shift. For you, the listener, your next big client, the one that really drives your revenue, they're probably not sifting through that pile of business cards from a mixer.
Not a chance. They're at their desk at 10 p.m. or they're on their commute. And they're asking an AI for a recommendation.
Precisely. They're pulling out their phone. They're asking Grok or Gemini or ChatGPT, who is the most trusted commercial real estate authority in the South Bay?
Or, I need a tax attorney who handles complex trusts. And here's the kicker. For so many incredible, experienced local experts, the AIs are just silent. They have nothing to say.
So why is that? I mean, why would an AI that has access to basically the entire internet fail to recommend someone with, 30 years of real-world experience?
It's a crisis of confidence. Frankly, it's within the algorithms themselves. The AI gatekeepers are suffering from what Edwin Duterte calls a trust crisis.
A trust crisis.
Yeah. They have been trained on so much text, so much just generic content, that they are actively terrified of recommending what he calls AI-generated slop.
Because the risk is too high for them.
The risk is huge. If they recommend a bad source, or worse, a fake one, their own credibility just tanks. So they are desperate. They're desperate to find undeniable, verifiable proof of human.
Proof of human. That phrase feels like the key to this whole thing.
Yeah.
If the AI is looking for proof that you're a real, established, credible person, what language do we need to speak to give it that proof?
We have to speak the language of EEAT. It's Google's ranking algorithm, but according to all the Voxel research, it's basically become the new Bible for digital visibility.
So if you don't have a high EEAT score, you're a digital ghost.
You're a digital ghost is your essential proof of human passport. There's no getting around it.
Okay, let's break this down then. Let's unpack these 4 pillars, because this is where the algorithmic rubber really meets the road. How do these components of EEAT tell the difference between a real expert and just a really polished chatbot?
It all comes down to verifiable human activity. So the first E is for experience.
Okay.
And this isn't just knowing facts from a book. This is firsthand, on-the-ground human experience. Have you actually been there? Have you handled those specific transactions?
Got it. So real-world practice, not just textbook theory. What about the second E?
The second E is expertise. This is where you really show you're a master of one specific craft. You're not a generalist. You're specialized. You're excellent in one key area. It's all about depth over breadth.
That's a really important distinction. Experience is the time you've spent on the road. Expertise is knowing the engine inside and out so you can fix it.
That's a great way to put it.
So what's the A? Authoritativeness.
Authoritativeness. And this is about external validation. Are you a recognized, verifiable authority? This pillar is basically asking, does the context around you prove that you're legitimate? You can't just proclaim it yourself.
So just writing, I'm an authority on my website doesn't cut it.
Not even close. It has to be externally registered in some way.
Okay. And finally, the T for trustworthiness.
Trustworthiness. This is all about transparency, credibility. Are you real? Can the AI rely on what you're providing? And this is verified through signals like consistent quality, clear production values. Poor quality signals instability. And to an AI, instability means low trust.
This brings up a really important question. I mean, we started this talking about the grind, the cold calls, the business cards. If I got 20 years of amazing client reviews and a great reputation in my town, doesn't that build trustworthiness and experience?
And Edwin Duterte is so clear on this. That traditional analog grind marketing, it builds zero digital EEAT. Zero. You might build a great person-to-person relationship, but the AI searching for an expert at 10 p.m. can't see it. It can't register it. A sale you made over a cold call leaves no digital footprint. That hustle is just a time vampire. It drains you without leaving any digital proof.
That's the paradigm shift, isn't it? The work that used to be the cornerstone of success now means nothing to the AI.
It's invisible.
So, okay, we accept that EEAT is the passport. But what's the vessel? Why does Voxel Micro Video Labs say that a professionally produced video podcast is the only asset that gets a perfect score on all four? Why not? I don't know, a series of brilliant white papers.
That's an excellent question, and it really gets to how these algorithms consume information. Written content, even if it's ghostwritten by the best in the world, it struggles with experience and trustworthiness.
How so? I mean, a well-researched paper seems pretty trustworthy.
It can be, but a ghostwritten paper can't provide verifiable human presence. A video podcast, though, one where the expert is actually on screen speaking, that gives visual and auditory proof of the human behind the ideas.
Right, you can't fake that.
You can't. It captures your tone, your body language, your unscripted answers, and all of that serves as a proxy for genuine first-hand experience. The AI is basically looking for a real person with a real face and voice standing behind the information.
Okay, that makes sense.
And then there's the data. A podcast series is an infinitely repeatable, high metadata asset. Every word you say is transcribed. That gives rich text data for expertise. The video itself proves the human is there for experience, and the professional production that verifies authoritativeness and trustworthiness. No other single thing does all four at once.
That is the aha moment right there. It's not just about being the expert. It's about packaging the proof of your expertise in a format the algorithms can actually understand and, more importantly, trust.
Exactly.
But let's address a common failure point here, because I know a lot of our listeners are thinking, but I tried video. You know, I propped up my iPhone, recorded a quick clip, I felt like an idiot, and nothing happened.
And that is such a critical point. Edwin Duterte warns about this constantly. Quality isn't optional. It is absolutely essential for successful proof of human. In fact, your amateur video attempts, they don't just fail to build EET.
Right.
They can actually damage your score.
They can damage it.
Yeah.
So a bad video is worse than no video. How?
Yeah. Because the AI is scanning for authoritative signals. If your video is low quality, it actually triggers negative flags, specifically for authority and trustworthiness. Duterte calls them grainy, echoey hostage videos.
Hostage videos, wow.
And why do they fail? Because they scream amateur, not authority.
So it's like going to that professional B&I meeting, but instead of just having a stale pastry, you show up in your pajamas. You could have the best information in the world, but your presentation just completely undermines your credibility from the get-go.
It's a perfect analogy. And think about the risk for the AI. If Gemini recommends a CPA based on a fuzzy, poorly lit video where you can barely hear them, and that CPA looks unprofessional, the AI has made a public mistake. It's almost like an AI hallucination of professionalism.
And in its current trust crisis, it can't afford that.
It has to protect its own reputation. So it will always prioritize content that sends undeniable signals of being established and professional.
So the quality of the content becomes a proxy for your business's stability, your professionalism. The synthesis here is pretty clear. To win this AI search game, your inherent expertise must be packaged in demonstrable authority and trust.
Correct. The entrepreneur has the experience and expertise, but they usually don't have the technical skills to communicate authority and trustworthiness in a digital format. And that's the gap the Voxel model is built to fill.
Okay, let's shift to that then. Let's talk about the how. The Voxel Micro Video Labs solution, which acts as this EET engine. It's built on a really clever division of labor, right? Splitting the requirements between two parties.
It's the core genius of the blueprint, really. It recognizes that, look, the entrepreneur is already working full-time, being an expert CPA or attorney. They shouldn't also have to be a professional cinematographer and sound engineer.
Of course not.
So they divide the 4 pillars of EAT into 2 distinct roles.
So let's start with the entrepreneur's job.
Yeah.
What do they have to bring to the table in this model?
Their job is streamlined to what only they can do. It's irreplaceable. They just have to show up to the professional studio. That's it. Their only job is to share their firsthand, on-the-ground human experience and show that they are a master of their craft.
So they're bringing the raw data, the human element, the experience and expertise.
That's all they have to worry about, the innate, unique human data.
How does the lab make sure that raw experience gets captured in a way that's actually interesting? I mean, experience is one thing, but turning it into good content is another. It can't just be rambling.
Right, and that's where the production process is key. The voxel model uses professional interviewing, maybe some light outlining, just to keep the content focused. The entrepreneur doesn't have to worry about what to say next or camera angles or any of that. They just have to answer questions that pull out their best knowledge.
So that structure guarantees the final content is high yield for the AI.
Exactly. The expert brings the brain. The lab brings the technical setup that translates that brain into a perfect EEAT signal.
Okay, so let's talk about the lab side of the equation, their responsibilities. How do they manufacture authoritativeness and trustworthiness?
So the lab provides all the technical indicators of legitimacy that the AIs are programmed to look for. To establish authoritativeness, they use professional cameras, cinematic lighting, and the established San Pedro stage.
Why does cinematic lighting matter to a search engine? It sounds a bit superficial.
It seems like it would be, but it signals investment. Stability, establishment. It's the digital version of having a big, polished headquarters downtown. It proves this isn't just someone in their spare bedroom. This is a serious, legitimate entity. It's the algorithmic proxy for professionalism.
It's proof they have skin in the game. That makes sense.
Yeah.
And what about the last piece of the puzzle, establishing trustworthiness?
That almost all comes down to the audio. The lab provides broadcast quality microphones and pristine audio. Nothing, and I mean nothing, undermines digital trust faster than bad audio.
Right, if it sounds like you're in a tin can.
If you sound like you're in a tin can, the AI treats the content as unreliable, unverified, untrustworthy. But high-quality, pristine audio, that is a technical signal that just screams transparency and credibility. It locks in that final EEAT score.
So by combining the expert's irreplaceable knowledge with the lab's technical authority and trust signals, the result is what the source material promises. The entrepreneur stops being an invisible grinder and becomes the #1 AI-recommended authority.
It's a mechanism for scaling trust. You are finally using technology to reverse that time vampire effect of old-school marketing. You're feeding Grok and Gemini the high EEAT proof of human content that they are just craving, 247.
And it lives forever.
Which means the benefits go way beyond just visibility. They must impact the client relationship right from the very beginning. Absolutely. I think the most powerful outcome of all this is attracting pre-sold clients. They find you because the AI recommended you. They meet you by watching your content, which proves your experience and authority. And crucially, they trust you before they ever pick up the phone.
So the hardest parts of the sale, the discovery, the vetting, the trust building.
Yeah.
That's all done before they even walk in the door.
It completely changes the conversation. It goes from, so why should I hire you, to, here's my problem, I need you to solve it.
And Edwin Duterte really emphasizes the critical, almost life-changing benefit here.
Yeah.
You get your time back.
Yes, you stop wasting all that energy on the low-yield grind. You can reclaim 10, 20, even 30 hours a month. And it's not just the quantity of time, it's the quality. Time you can now use to serve your clients better or just live your life.
The knowledge here lets you stop tracking wasted time and start investing it strategically.
You're moving from activity to assets. Every hour spent cold calling is gone forever. Every hour spent creating high EEAT video builds an asset that works for you forever.
So what does this all mean for you, the listener, right now? The blueprint from Edwin Duterte includes a really powerful self-assessment, and we think you should do it this week. He challenges you to ruthlessly track your time.
Track every minute you spend on grind marketing. The cold calls, the networking hours, all of that low-yield hustle.
And then compare that time to the actual verifiable revenue those specific activities generated last month. Be brutally honest with yourself about that comparison.
And then you have to ask yourself the big question.
The question that should probably determine your entire strategy for the next year. If that comparison makes you sick, if you realize you are burning dozens of hours every single month for almost no return, are you ready to stop tracking wasted time and start building assets that actually win the game?
It's a moment of necessary honesty, to realize your current playbook is costing you your most valuable asset, which is your time.
And that realization, that's the signal for a change. That's the deep dive.